Hey everyone, my name is Lee Cage. I will be your host for today. This is 15 Minutes with. It is my pleasure to introduce our upcoming person with an unwavering commitment to fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. Is stands as a beacon of hope and for change in the field of diversity, inclusion, and equity. And they have consistently demonstrated their exceptional ability to drive transformational initiatives that elevate organizations to new heights of inclusivity and social responsibility. Now, I won't share all the things in this specific point in our conversation, but I do want to bring to the stage, without further ado, Iman Stenson.
Hi, Lee.
Hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. This is great. Folks get to see what our conversations look like all the time. So this is great.
Yes, absolutely. So please, all the folks kind of want to know like who you are, what you're doing, how you became this force to be reckoned with in the D&IB space.
Well, that is extremely flattering. So I thank you for that. I'll start off with saying, hi, folks. My name is Iman. I go by Is. My pronouns are they, them, and I identify as non-binary. I found my way into DEI, honestly, through loving people and seeing that there's a true power that comes from positive interactions. When we strip away all the differences and all the differences of our experiences, at our core, we all truly want the same thing. So DEI just allows us to get to that core and for us to experience each other and enjoy each other in the best of ways in a harmonious settings, especially within the workplace. So I really came to DC and got my start in sustainability, but quickly realized that DEI is my passion. So that's where you find me now.
Sustainability, like, I mean, what does that mean? Is that like global warming initiatives? Is that like recycling? Tell me more about this. This is the first I've heard of this. I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, so funny enough, I actually thought that my career was going to be in combating climate change and promoting sustainable practices. My first, introduction into the corporate world was helping GHG or greenhouse gas reduction projects all over the world quantify their emission reduction and use that for financial support to keep funding other projects all over the world that will help us combat climate change and promote more sustainable practices. So through that work, I got to work with a whole host of different people, a very eclectic group, and I realized that there was a need during that time for DEI to have a space within sustainability. We can't talk about the earth that we inhabit without talking about the humans on it and making sure that we can work together and live together in the best way possible. So it may not seem like it may not be obvious, but it was a pretty seamless transition. Mission work leads to more mission work. So here I'm here today.
Wow. So from sustaining the earth to sustaining people, I feel like that should be like a slogan that we see behind your name eventually.
I love that. Okay, I might have to give you a royalty or two on that
one. So, I mean, that pretty much leads me to this next question. It sounds like you've been diving into data-driven insights for pretty much all of your career.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
I think data...
Yeah, go ahead. No. Go ahead. This is good.
Whenever I hear data, I get so excited because it's really at the root of everything that we do in DEI. I think folks might assume that diversity, equity, inclusion is about, the things that we say and the actions that we take. But before we can drive transformative change, we need to know what our baseline is. And that's rooted in our data. So whether it's demographic data, promotion data, whatever it is, that's where you start. You want to quantify your issue and then develop metrics of success based off of that. So sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun on your question there, but I heard my favorite word.
You actually answered like 2 or 3 of them that I was they were kind of reeling from my brain as you were talking. So you talked a little bit about the sustainability pieces and how you transitioned into DE&I. What have you found as being one of the most kind of pinnacle challenges that you faced with helping people understand what you're trying to get them to see or do or action within their organizations?
I find that often when it comes to DEI, individuals are in their own way, subconsciously. At our core, all humans, I truly believe, want to do good and bring good into the world, but we always haven't been given a formula for that or a lexicon on how to do that. So, you kind of see this paralysis with individuals where they can recognize either non-inclusive behavior or opportunities for inclusion, but they just don't know exactly how to put that into action. But once they're given those tools, that challenge sort of alleviates itself, and folks feel confident advocating for themselves and others. So I would say that's probably the biggest challenge on an individual level. When you take it to more of a corporate sphere or a firm setting, like across country where I'm currently working, I would say the biggest challenge is making sure that we're all on the same page. Are we defining inclusion in the same way? Are we defining success in the same way? But again, once you hit that alignment, the rest is history. You can really skyrocket.
Well, since you mentioned that specific organization, I've seen tremendous growth and maturity and collaboration and just forward momentum there. So I think that that's really cool for them to one, see and acknowledge, but then two, to action. So kudos to you and all of their leadership team for making that possible.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Lee. I have to give a plug for cross country. I mean, come on. I know we only have 15 minutes, but I'd be remiss if I didn't. I've never seen an organization that is so hungry for change and so willing to take the courageous actions that are needed to have those hard conversations to move us forward. We have opportunity ahead of us, as many organizations do, but I feel really confident about it. And I have to give a shout out to, honestly, all the employees at Cross Country. I'm purely a facilitator of excellent ideas and initiatives, but this is truly a community that's fully committed to DEI and really getting to a culture of belonging. So with me, without me, they're on that track. I'm very happy and excited to be a part of their journey.
Wow, that's awesome. I wish that for all organizations or folks that are listening to this today. So we just finished with 9/11, obviously being yesterday, and just all the things that we know around that. For many of us, I mean, like myself, I'm a millennial. Don't tell anyone. They may learn the truth.
Are you sure you're not a zillennial? All right, because I feel like you could.
I am a millennial. Okay. And so when we think about like kind of growing up from that perspective, I'd love to learn a little bit about like your growing up in the world of HR and sustainability and just in life. Like we'd love to dive into that. Like what makes you you and how you've gotten here.
Yeah, so I'm actually glad that you mentioned 9/11 because it's a point of reflection, especially, I'm based here in the US. That was during my early years. I think that was around, oh God, I'm not going to say how old I was during that time, so y'all can't date me, but yeah. It's definitely a memory that is very vivid in my mind. But I think what came out of that, the patriotism, the community, and again, the reflection, those are some of the core elements of DEI. There's some of the core elements of sustainability. So you're seeing a bit of a trend here that, having those stop and pause moments to reflect on what's truly important and how we can really be of support and aid to each other. I mean, that's bigger than DEI. That's our goal, I think, as humankind. But I think, especially in a time like this, in a moment like this, it's top of mind and more important probably than the other times. So it's an unfortunate, of course, unfortunate date and event. But what's come out of it, I think, is something that we can all pull from. That when we are faced with adversity, when we are faced with hate, when we're faced with anything that's negative, we have a choice to pick ourselves up, to lend to each other, and to become better as we establish that pathway forward. So,
wow. I mean, is public speaking also on the list of things? I know you have like 18,000 titles. I just feel like it's so good. No, I just feel like, we're going to see signs later that say vote for is, like we'll just do that. So
you'll see me at Cross Country promoting belonging, helping our ERGs. That's where you'll see is.
Okay. All right. Well taken. Cross Country, you obviously have done something awesome here. So with that in mind, I'd like to shift gears a little bit. So we've talked about your background a little bit. We've talked about you growing up. We've talked about, some of your perspectives. I would love to ask you if you could, maybe ask or give yourself, your younger self, some advice. What would you give your younger self now, looking back at your career and just your pathway?
I love that question. I think whether I was talking to myself a year ago or in my early adolescence, the lesson would be the same. It's to be as curious as possible and to meet every individual, every interaction with curiosity. Not only do we gain a ton, by learning, but I think it's a way for us to go into interactions with a soft heart, being willing to learn and not really, lead with judgment. So that's something that I still try to do, but I would definitely tell my earlier self, whether you're in the classroom or out having an interaction or out on the golf course, just be curious and truly lean into people, lean into situations, because you'll be surprised at what you get out of it. So hopefully old me is listening. Maybe time is cyclical and they'll hear that one again, but definitely to be curious.
Wow, I love that. So I know we're almost at time when we're going to move to a special segment in our kind of session here, but I actually did a little bit of research and I
Oh,
heard that you may have played volleyball.
so wow, that's so funny. I don't want to know what else you know. I'm kidding. But, I do. So growing up, I played a lot of sports. My dad was an athletic director at my high school, and a volunteer coach for all of my sports. So I played volleyball, basketball, golf, track and field. I'm not sure if I said softball already. So I was busy. My parents had a strong belief that if you're busy, you don't have time to get in trouble, and more or less that was definitely correct. But volleyball is absolutely my favorite.
So, and the reason I kind of bring that up is because, as you know, I'm in the military, and we focus a lot on community and bringing each other together and having camaraderie. I heard you talking a little bit earlier around like the collaboration pieces and engaging, folks within your organization. Do you think that your background in sports or your background in team environments has played a part in your ability to actually corral people to move them towards the direction that you're hoping to go?
Wow, I'm sure I can put more thought into it, but I'll say yes, absolutely. I could probably spend some significant time exploring all the ways that's had influence. But with volleyball specifically, and for those who aren't familiar, you all have your positions on the court. There's 6 of you, but when the ball is coming to you, you have to own it. You call out mine or I got. So I love that study and that we are a collective. We're all moving towards a common goal, but we all are taking ownership over our moment and we're rising to that occasion. And that's something that I definitely try to do in my day to day, whether it's DEI or otherwise. So maybe that came from sports. I think that probably did come from sports now that I think about it. Wow. Yeah, this is a whole therapy session, Lee.
All right. Well, I mean, I like to do a little bit of research, and obviously my speculations were hopefully true. I find that a lot of my leadership style comes from my background, how I was groomed, how I was raised, how I was supported, how I was mentored in my more formative years as a professional. And I kind of felt, having known you personally from a working perspective, that may have had something to do with your strong ability to corral a team. So.
Oh, well, so yeah, own what's yours, but we celebrate together. We mourn losses together. We can only move forward as a team. So yeah, I think you're spot on. Definitely has influence.
So we're at 13 minutes here. So we're going to, I know, right? So we're going to shift gears to a little game that I like to call, or that we like to call, rapid fire. We're going to ask you a series of questions. They're going to go by fast. You have just a few seconds to just come up with the first thing that comes to mind. We want you to say it, and we'll go from there. Okay?
Sounds good.
If you've watched any of these before, some of them will be repeat, but we've added some new ones specifically for you.
I might have done some research. Might have got some homework in, but okay, let's do it.
All right. If your life was a movie, what would the tagline be?
Everything happens for a reason. Absolutely. Yes, I did not think that I would end up here in DEI, but just a series of different fortunate events have led me to this point. So yeah, I would definitely say that everything happens for a reason.
Okay. What would be a good a spy code name for you?
Ooh, this is rough. I would say is, but that one might be out there a little bit too much. Maybe Z, like ZI, something like that.
Okay. All right. Do you watch shows one episode at a time, or do you binge watch the whole season?
Oh, if I like it, I love it. I'm a binger for sure.
What was your last impulse buy?
Ooh, a fountain pen with matching ink. Yes.
What trait most defines who you are?
Empathy. I try.
Okay. What is the best advice you've ever received?
It was actually from you, and it is to fulfill the contract and then make demands. So, tackle what's in front of you and then expand from there. It's something that I've also passed along. So for sure
that is probably one of my most favorite quotes to give folks. So I'm glad it resonated with you. I'm glad it stuck with you. And the last one, with just a few seconds on the chopping block, right? You can tell I've been watching Chop Kitchen. But anyways, the last one is, if the CEO asks for your advice, what would be the single most important thing that you would want to give to every CEO out there? What would be that quote, that thing that you'd want to leave them with?
That to interact with as many people as possible within your organization on a deeper level, get to know them, their ins and outs, and form those authentic relationships. Because I promise you, I'm not a CEO quite yet, one day, but you're going to get so much out of that. So really just interact as deeply as possible with as many people as possible.
Wow. I love that. We have come to the end of our session. Is there anything you want to tell folks, leave them with before we close out?
I guess the last thing I'll say is that allyship is an action, folks. It's a verb. So find a way to make your community better. Lean in, be curious, ask questions, and just be the change that you hope to see in the world. A little cliche, but it's true.
Wow. So listen, everyone, you can find Iz's LinkedIn profile below. You can connect with them. You can do all the things. I welcome it as well. Feel free to connect with me if you have any questions on how to find Iz and all the wonderful and amazing things that they are doing, both in the DE&I space, but also in life. So without further ado, thanks for tuning in today, and we will chat with you later.